I want to bring in Michael Steele now. Michael Steele, spokesman for House Speaker John Boehner, also a senior advisor to Jeb Bush at one point. So, Michael, let's just start with what we just heard there from Garrett on this January 6th commission. The family of the officer who died after that attack on the Hill, going door to door, asking Republican lawmakers to support the commission. We just heard from his girlfriend there. How do senators say no to that?
I don't know. It's going to be very hard. I think that we can never forget the tragic events of January 6th, the assault on the cathedral of our democracy, the U.S. Capitol. And I think that the political calculation, which I understand, that half of Republicans don't believe that the president's supporters did it or that he incited them, and you're going to need those voters in the midterms next year. It's a very hard argument to make to grieving widows, grieving mothers, and tell them that, you know, the Justice Department is investigating. There will be other commissions, other investigations. This particular approach is not something I can support. And I think it's a real risk for Republicans in the sense that if there isn't a bipartisan commission along these lines, you will get a partisan investigation along the lines of the Benghazi investigation that House Republicans did, run by House Democrats. And that's going to be a more aggressive, probably less responsible investigation into the attack and the former president's role.
Speaking of the former president, Michael Steele, there is this Quinnipiac poll out that I wanted to ask you about specifically. The poll found that some 85% of Republicans, 85%, want candidates who agree with former President Trump. That same survey found that 66% of Republicans want him to run for president again. Is that why Republicans aren't backing this bipartisan commission into the deadly riot on January 6th? Because support among Republican voters are still apparently so high for the former president.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans are looking towards next year's midterms. You know, after we lost the two Senate runoffs in Georgia and the majority in the Senate along with them, Republicans lost their seat at the table in Washington. They lost the ability to have a substantial influence on policy and pull it in their direction. The next opportunity to get that back is next year's midterms. And Republican success in those midterms is going to require a coalition that is Trump plus. You need the president's supporters, the vast majority of the party, as well as folks who were repelled by the president, but still continue to support more traditional conservative Republican principles. That's the winning coalition that Senator McConnell and Leader McCarthy are going to try and put together next year. And it's going to be a lot more difficult if you have this sort of investigation going on and then looking into the former president's role.
Former House Speaker Paul Ryan, perhaps you've heard, he's set to speak at the Reagan Presidential Library tonight, and we've gotten some insight, some early insight into what the former speaker plans to say. He is in part expected to issue a warning about the party's reliance on former President Trump, saying, quote, if the conservative cause depends on the populist appeal of one personality or on second-rate imitations, then we're not going anywhere. You work for Paul Ryan. What do you make of the speech? What kind of reaction do you think that's going to get within the party?
I'm looking forward to the speech. I think that there's a real question whether the Republican Party going forward is going to be the party of Reagan, open, inclusive, broad-minded, optimistic, or the party of Trump, which is narrow-minded and backward-looking and excited by all these silly grievances. And I think that if we're going to build the party, if we're going to be able to win majorities in presidential elections in the future, build and maintain majorities in the House and Senate, we're going to have to return to a more Reagan-esque, reform-minded, broad-minded, optimistic, outward-looking vision of our party. And I think that's what Paul's going to be talking about tonight.
Michael Steele, we will leave it there, sir. Thanks as always for the insight. Thank you.